Welcome back to another episode of the Vibe Archive. In today's episode, we actually have something pretty cool. We're going to have our first guest appearance on this show, which is the band Distressor. This band showed up on my YouTube suggested, of course. That's where I find all these bands. They're kind of like a shoegaze, rock, metal type band, and I first heard their song Yearn, and they just released another new song called Further From Home, which is badass. So I sent him a DM, asked if he wanted to be on this show, and he agreed. So super excited about this, our first interview. We're going to do more of these. This is called the Vibe Archive Session. So let's take a look at this episode with Distressor. In today's episode, we have Corey from the band Distressor. He decided to come on to the show, which we're super grateful for. So, Corey, you're from California?
Yeah, I'm originally from Los Angeles County and then moved to San Diego probably 12 years ago now, I think.
Okay, so yeah, you've been in California then your whole life?
Yeah, born and raised. I haven't really left much besides like some traveling and I can't imagine living anywhere else, to be honest, but
Really?
yeah.
Okay. So, do you do any other hobbies besides music, being in California, like any surfing or longboarding? That's what comes to my mind whenever I think about California hobbies.
Yeah, it's classic, right? Especially San Diego. So surf culture. I was more into skating when I was younger, and then got into snowboarding. That was kind of like my main boardingness. And then I went to a college that was like super surfer bro. And I just like at that point in my life, I had not surfed at all because I grew up like in the Inland Empire of LA, and to get to the beach was like a 40-minute drive. So I was just the absolute worst surfer amongst all my peers. And I was like, I don't think I have time for this or the ability to like take on this new hobby. So I got into like bouldering, funny enough, like a few years ago. And so I'm like heavily into like rock climbing and bouldering.
Oh, yeah.
Which is pretty sweet. I don't know if you've ever done that.
Oh, yeah. I got a buddy who's big into that. And man, them forearms and fingers, after like 5 minutes, you're just done.
Totally crushed. Yeah. Like in a way, it kind of like inhibits guitar playing, but at the same time, it kind of like does a lot of finger strengthening at the same time, weirdly enough. So it's like a good, double exercise.
That's what I was going to say, is I bet you that you could probably play any guitar with any bad frets or anything like that, any acoustics, you're just hammering down as hard as you can.
Yeah. I still suck, but it helps a little bit.
That's cool. So you're the lead singer and guitarist for Distressor, right?
Yes, that's correct. I do basically only rhythm guitars now. Our lead guitarist, Ricardo Alvarez, is the main lead guy. He's absolutely like shredder, and totally like lead guitar oriented kind of guy. So I love not worrying about any sort of leads whatsoever, because I cannot for the life of me sing and play lead guitar at the same time, like at all. So sing and rhythm guitar.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So then how many band members do you guys have then?
There's four of us. Since we started, there's always been four, and that works out pretty well for us with just the balance of schedules and lives. I would love to add a third guitarist just for some more like beefy rhythm sections. It's like a lot of weight to carry as like a solo like rhythm guitarist, but we kind of make do.
Yeah. Well, okay, so then there's four of you, and then I saw that you guys just kind of went on a little stint of shows. How was that? I mean, you guys do you guys work full-time jobs?
Yes. All of us are the full-time lifers with jobs on the side. So it was just a ton of planning. Like this stuff's so much easier when you're younger, and you can, like you have throwaway jobs, and some of us do, but like it was just like a matter of like requesting the time off, planning everything out, like but I mean, all that bullshit aside, like it was such a blast. And we had been wanting to do Texas for like a long time. We're pretty on top of like analytics and stuff like that, and like where our like listeners are located. So we have just like a heavy audience in Texas, and just like this genre in general like has such huge representation in Texas that we were like, this is like the number one spot. Like if we're gonna do like a small run, it's gonna be Texas. So it was fantastic.
Well, and that's what I've done a couple other deep dive videos. I did one on Twin Tribes, which I believe that they're from Texas. I did one on the new, viral one that everybody's seeing, Dexter and the Moon Rocks. I believe that they're out of Texas, aren't they? And
I think you're
so,
right.
yeah. So I mean, everybody's coming out of Texas, it seems. So yeah, I can totally see why your guys' hot spot for your sound would be in Texas. So I mean, so you guys had a little run planned out with the band Salt Plus, and then that was kind of like a co-headliner, correct?
Yes, yeah, it was. I mean, they primarily headlined, so that was their run, and they were like super gracious to extend the invite to us. And yeah, like we're super good friends with them over the years, and like we couldn't have imagined like a better band to like go on a short run like that with. So it was just like so much fun every night with them. And we're also just like big fans of that band in general. So like hearing their songs every night was just kind of like um, a dream. You know, it was like I was so
Yeah.
bummed when it was over because I'm like I genuinely love hearing these songs every night.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, how was that though? Like, you guys had to obviously all take off time from work and put all that time planning. I know that you were saying that you guys had to fly out there, rent a van. So, I mean, how was that like going from jobs to then kind of like a little stint of like your dream of what you're trying to do? Like, was there a little bit of like, oh man, like, I wish that I could do this all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, like, I mean, when it wrapped up, we were like, oh my god. I mean, we could push this on for like another month if we had to. Like we were, it was over so quickly. You know, it was like 6 shows in total. So we did like Vegas, Phoenix, and then 4 dates in Texas. And it was just one of those things where we were like, this is so much fun. Like, yeah, we're exhausted, and like, God, we got to like go return to our jobs right after this. You know, like,
Yeah.
but we, kind of just planned the most like ideal path. And the Salt Plus guys, they drove because they had a couple more dates. They added like an El Paso and stuff. So like they did like the long shot, like 18-hour drive or whatever it was. And
Jeez.
yeah, and we ended up flying into Austin, which was the like city where we were ending, and like rented our car there, and then like did the loop and then returned the car in Austin.
Dang. So I mean that was a grind then. And then obviously you guys are setting up, unloading, loading, driving, doing literally everything, just hustling the whole entire time and just trying to get any couple hours of sleep in the van.
Yeah, I mean we totally like we went a little bougie and like got like Airbnbs or hotels for the night. So like
Okay.
we didn't get a van that's like a big enough to where like it could sleep us, which would have been hilarious. But um yeah, so and then Salt Plus, like they totally like babied us. Like they brought they backlined all of their cabs and heads for us. So like and then we like coordinated with like all the locals to like backline drums for us each night, which was like we just totally like ran skeleton crew of like gear. And like once we landed, we like split the vans as much as we could with like gear responsibilities and stuff. So like they did like the heavy lifting, and then like the locals supplied like the kits for the night, which was like super awesome of everybody.
Well, and I was wondering that because I was like, man, if they're flying, what are they doing with all their equipment and the drums and stuff? And so that's cool. So you basically coordinated to borrow the drums from the openers and the local guys, and you guys just pretty much brought your guitars then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
We bought like checked our pedal boards, and just like walked on with our guitars, and like had a small like backpack of clothes.
Nice, dude. Okay, cool. So that's super cool that you guys are able to do of course, the full-time job type thing and still be able to coordinate and go out there and hustle and be able to do like a little stint touring like that. So I mean, that's pretty cool, and that shows the fire that you guys have to make this happen. So hats off
Yeah,
to you.
I appreciate that. I think it like says a little bit more like when you get a little older, and like and you start like having like full-time jobs and having to balance life. Like I mean, jobs is just one thing. Like there's family, relationship, friends, like everything that goes into 4 people's lives, and like marrying those together, like and
Yeah.
still showing up for each other is like I think says a lot. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could only imagine. Well, so So we kind of dove into like what you guys just got done doing. Where did Distressor, I mean, start? Like, I've never heard of another band called Distressor. I know that there's some sort of kind of like a cabinet piece that's named like Distressor, you know? And so, like, I kind of wanted to know where you guys got the name and where did you really start with your whole music journey?
Sure. Um, it's hilarious because we get the name question all the time. Because there is a band called Whir. If you know who Whir is
Oh,
in
yeah.
shoegaze, they have an EP called Distressor. Um, and so when we started the band, we were like early 20s and like children. And I always blame it on like, oh, we just named our band after like the Empirical Labs Distressor compressor because like it is like one of those rack units.
Yeah.
um, and I wish it was that, but no, we totally named ourselves after the EP from Whir, which I like is my biggest regret of the band, like to this day. Like I just wish I could go back and like not have okayed that decision. I think it's a huge regret.
Yeah, but I mean, you might regret it, but I mean, I don't like whenever I look up Distressor, you guys are the first one that pops up. So I mean, it's not like a name that you see like, oh, there's 30 bands named Legacy or The Legacy or like whatever, you know what I mean? And so I mean, I feel like even though you might not like where it came from, it's still a very unique name for you guys. So I mean, that's kind of a cool story though. I mean, you can't go
Sure,
wrong with being named after a badass band like Were too. So I mean, not like named after them, but kind of taking the inspiration a little bit, you know.
sure. Yeah, it just like it's such a small like community of like of this genre, so like it just to me it feels so lame. But like in a way it's good because like it's technically not a real word, so like you were saying, like for like SEO, if you want to look at it like that, like there's not a lot that pops up besides like the EP, the compressor unit, and then us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was super easy to find facts about you guys. So, I mean, it just took me 2 seconds. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So I mean, like, where did you guys, I mean, who came up with the band in general? I mean, did you come up with the band Distressor or all you guys original members? And then, like, where did your guys' journey start?
So I was the one that like initiated things, I would say, like because I had started the band from a Craigslist ad. I was like playing in bands in high school and like finding members like was either through like high school or a Craigslist ad. So like that's all I knew. I took a break from music like when I was in college, and then like in my last semester I was wrapping up, and I was like I need to get back into music because like all the school shit's done. And so I threw an ad up, and like literally the first person that responded to me was our lead guitarist Ricardo, who's still in the band. Um, and I think I had like put out a listing for like an atmospheric like heavy rock band or something like that because I'm like obsessed with Deftones, and that's what I was kind of like leaning towards of starting something like that. And then he responded and was like, "Hey, I'm really into shoegaze. Like, let's meet up." And like at the time, I literally had no idea what shoegaze was. Like, I didn't give a shit about like indie music or indie rock or like niche genres. Like, I literally was just like straight up like post-hardcore emo and like new metal type guy. So
Okay.
so then he came over and basically we clicked immediately. Like just some of the riffs like we were sharing, I was like geeking out about like what he was playing. Um, and then like from there we just like decided to build the band from there, and like we demoed a shit ton on my like shitty laptop, and then just kind of like put out more ads and like found a drummer, found a bass player that like were in the band for like maybe less than a year, and like we cycled through like a ton of bass players and drummers, and then ended up where we are today, like maybe 5 years ago. We've all been together for 5 years now.
Wow. So it all started from you said a Craigslist ad?
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Craigslist.
sick. I
I don't
love
even
that.
I don't even know if people still do that anymore. Like, is there like a better way to find band members besides like just playing in like your local scene? Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, I know. Like you always hear people like, "Oh, I heard that, or I saw them from this other band, and then that band stopped, and so then we were friends before." But you just kind of going out and being like, "Hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Anybody interested?" And then you get somebody who was like, "Dude, I'm down," and then you guys just kind of vibed right off the bat. That's sick.
Yeah. Like at the time, like he didn't have a car and he lived like 25, 30 minutes south of me. So like he literally like took a bus, with his like guitar on his back, and like got the nearest drop off by my house, and like walked another like 20 minutes to my house and like knocked on my door. It was like it like definitely shouldn't have happened at all, but somehow it worked.
That's crazy. And I bet you
Yeah.
that, I mean, sometimes like I'm also a musician, so I can kind of like relate to you in that way. And whenever you're always kind of, whenever you're a musician or something, you're always kind of wanting to play with somebody else. And then it's like, oh, nobody that I know personally can match what I'm wanting to do. And so then being able to bring somebody random into it and you don't even know them, but being able to vibe and go, oh my God, dude, like where have you been for like the past couple of years? That's really cool how you were able to do that and post something on Craigslist and somebody was like, oh, dude, that I'm gonna reply. That's awesome.
Yeah, such a weird like stars align moment, and like yeah, it's a wild thing to like have someone like perusing like Craigslist at the same time, like looking for like a general like same interest or shared interests, and then responding and actually showing up. Like
Yeah,
80% of it is just showing up like in music. So
that's
pretty cool.
super cool. And so then, when did you start playing guitar?
When I was in 8th grade, my first instrument was piano when I was little, and then I was in like lessons and like begged my mom to quit, and she was like, "This is going to be the biggest regret of your life, quitting." And she finally let me quit, and it turns out it was an insanely huge regret of my life, quitting piano. But then around 8th grade, I had some like old acoustics like that my dad had bought, like that were just like sitting in a closet, and like decided to pick that up and just like totally like obsessed over it, and then like have been playing since.
Really? So what was like one of the first songs that you learned how to play?
I was a big Green Day fan, so I like literally just taught myself like Green Day songs, so it's just power chords straight up and down. Um, so a lot of that, and then I think like the first like challenging song was like "Good Riddance" by Green Day, because it was like more like single note picking like into chords and stuff. So like that was a challenge, but once like I started like getting the hang of that, I was like, oh my God, I'm like literally producing sound that like I recognize from listening to the songs. Like, so that was a wild moment.
Well, yeah, and I bet you that playing piano, right? Like I remember this one, I think it was maybe Queen or I forget who it was. Maybe it was either Michael Jackson, Prince, or Queen. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, it's like maybe like a movie or something, and the band is doing like the wrong stuff, and he's all, everything is a drum, and so then, a guitar is a drum, the drums are a drum, the piano's a drum, and so you being able to play piano before that kind of got you the hang of pressing the notes when and stuff, and so then just changing to a different instrument. How was that? Like, was it kind of like seamless, or was it kind of challenging, or like how was that transition going from piano to guitar?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think like in a way, like my brain was maybe geared towards like hearing notes together and like already understanding what like chords were, and like so like in a way it was like an easy transition, but like I literally quit playing guitar like months after starting, because I was like, this is like literally too freaking hard. Like my fingers were in pain like with calluses and stuff, because I was learning on an acoustic guitar.
Oh yeah.
And I was like literally ready to throw the guitar out the window, but like for some reason just kept coming back to it. And then like I remember I went over to a buddy's house who had an electric guitar, and like I still remember like the feeling of like playing an electric guitar for the first time, and just like how insane that was. It was like, it's so much easier to press the strings down, like
Oh
fret
yeah.
notes, and I was like, this is like sorcery. So that's when I knew I was like totally hooked.
That's awesome. And so you said that you're a big fan of Deftones. I'm a huge fan of Deftones too, so I want to ask,
Like,
what was the very first song that you can remember hearing Deftones and that you were like, holy shit?
yeah, I remember like where I was the first day I heard Deftones. It's so funny. I was like, I played baseball my whole life, so like I was in like a batting cages that like our coach owned, and like there was like a little like weight room that his son was like lifting in, and like his son's just like this super jack dude, and was blasting like metal over like the speakers in the gym, and like he put on "Be Quiet and Drive," and I was in there at the same time, and I literally like was so moved by it. I got the courage to like ask him like, what band is like playing right now? This is like the coolest thing I've ever heard. And he's like, oh, it's Deftones. How do you not know who Deftones are? Um,
Oh man.
can still remember like the feeling and like the day that it happened. I was just so blown away. Um,
That Be Quiet and Drive is the one that you were exposed to. That's pretty sick. And
Yeah,
especially because you were like probably in a gym like, oh God, I don't really want to ask. But there probably wasn't Shazam out at the time. So you're like, I have to
no,
ask. I have to ask.
yeah, and I was like in eighth grade, like super shy and like just really getting into like music at that point in my life. So I was just like obsessed with anything I could find that was new. What was the first song that you heard by him?
Man, I'm trying to, while you were saying that, I'm trying to think of it. It's the one with the horses, where it's like, dan, 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 and she
Oh, Swerve City.
drives her. Yes, Swerve
Yeah,
City. Yes, dude.
yeah,
I
banger.
remember being in my middle school bedroom and I was like, I forget why it came up, but it came up and I was like, what the hell is this? And I just kept replaying it like, oh my gosh. And so, I mean, just like the swing, like that was later, obviously, than Be Quiet and Drive. Those songs are legendary. But I mean, that even just captured me where I was like, oh my God, what is Deftones? Like, and just the name and like Deftones, like it was just so much stuff for my mind to comprehend. I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, they're such a sick band. I could glaze them all day. Like, they deserve every ounce of like obsession that they get from like the newer fans, like on TikTok, and like how much resurgence they're happy. Like, they deserve it all, in my opinion. So,
Well, and it seems like, I've really noticed ever since kind of starting this channel and everything, that, back in maybe like 2015, 17, it was the real like emo rap. The Little Peep was super big. Everybody's doing like that sound and it was just like big, right? And then, nobody was really listening to the Deftones, to the Korn, to, any of like rock. It kind of like rock was kind of going through like a weird stage, and so, but I feel like it's now switched completely where now you have these bands like Knock Loose and you have like Whir coming out and you have like all these different rock bands coming out to where then you see those shows and they just go crazy now. And so, I mean, seeing like the kind of shift where everybody's kind of going back to the rock and the underground shows and stuff from like the rap, you know what I mean? I thought that was pretty cool because, I mean, a lot of those artists in like the rap scene talk about they got influences from Deftones and they would use like the guitars on their beats and stuff like that. But it seems like now it's kind of reversed back to rock. And so, I mean, how have you kind of like related to all these bands coming out and kind of like the resurgence of the old kind of like new metal, I guess that you could say?
yeah, I mean, that's such a great observation because, I guess in a way, like, I was so into like Deftones and Korn like in high school, and like a bunch of like emo bands, like it's like Warped Tour bands were like my thing, and then like taking such like a huge like disconnect from music, like going through college and then like ending college. Like, I think during that time was like that like big moment of like bands kind of falling off, and then like I was kind of so out of touch with like with music in general for those years that like coming back into music, and then like I'm just falling into like shoegaze is popping, Deftones is huge again. Like, it was almost just like I just missed this like window of time where like bands like were just falling off, like because I just like it just fell into my lap again where it was like, oh, it's big again. And in my mind I'm thinking like, well, it's always been big. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. It's really cool though, because it almost seems like now that it's like back, it's almost like more back than ever, I guess.
Yeah.
But minus like obviously like the Warped Tour days like are kind of nuked, but
Yep. Well, and I
yeah,
feel like I wonder if some of that comes from, whenever back in that era, the internet was being big and it kind of like all these, people would go SoundCloud rappers or something, that kind of like, even though people dogged on it, it kind of made it possible for everybody to go, you don't need a big label to make it in music. You literally just need a laptop, the motivation to do it, and you can record it and post it regardless of the genre, whether it's rock, rap, whatever, and you can do it. And so I feel like kind of like that resurgence too, was people getting kind of over the mainstream stuff of the radio playing the same, things all the time, where they're like, I'm looking for something new again. And all these amazing bands were producing stuff from their own home studios, and then they were like, oh man, they have Deftones that sound like this. They have all these other bands that are making it happen without a huge record label. And so I kind of feel like that also maybe bled into the rock scene. Like, you don't need a big label to make it, so.
Yeah. That's such a cool thing. Like you said, like anybody with like a musical desire can literally put out anything and promote themselves like in any way they want. There's lower barrier to entry, and like the platforms that like people have at their disposal now is like are so useful for like getting your music out there. Like it's literally possible for anybody, which also in a way kind of like raises the like bar of like standing out, like, and making good music. It's like there's so many people making music and like releasing music that like there's just like so much noise. I think it's a great thing. It's just like to like differentiate yourself or like put yourself out there and like like pull ahead, so to speak. Like it's a lot more of a challenge, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, yeah, because, once you say to everybody, hey, all you need is a laptop and a microphone, then everybody's like, oh, I'm a musician now. And so then you have to, of course, stand out with them. But I feel like the passionate people, and if it's running through your blood, like it weeds out the weak ones. You know what I mean? It definitely separates the boys from the men, where, it's not like, it's very rare that you post one song and it goes crazy, or just like 3 songs, and a lot of the times with those people, I feel like you only have 3 songs and you popped. Well, people are going to get bored of your 3-song catalog, and they're going to be like, okay, I'm kind of off to the next thing, and so I feel like the true artistry and the real grinders and the ones that have music pumping through their blood outlast, the ones that kind of are like the noise coming in, so, I think that's cool.
That's such a great point. Yeah. Like the attention spans of people these days, they're like so nuked. So it's like to stay on top of like consistent releasing and like following up things and like, constantly promoting yourself, like the like labels, like gatekeeping, like disappearing, like in a way is like super helpful for bands to like put themselves out there. But it's also like there's more responsibility on yourself to like constantly promote yourself, constantly release, like fund yourself, like
Yeah.
So it does take a lot of effort for sure. But like mad props to anybody that's like going through that.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can't just release and then wait 4 or 5 months, or like even like a year or something, and you can't also be like a perfectionist. I feel like some people, they try to perfect it, where then they lose that kind of momentum. But so you guys are obviously independent, right?
Yep. We started out like our first release actually was put out like on a tiny like Australian indie label, funny enough.
Okay.
But they totally like disappeared on us, and like so we went through like that shitty process of like, oh, this is like how things can really go down. And it was like on such a small scale where like it doesn't really matter in the long term. But like we just got a bad taste in our mouths, and like since then we've kind of been just like not interested unless like it's like some life-changing opportunity maybe. But like we just collectively don't really see like what the value add is, besides like if they're just like gatekeeping like better shows or something, or like putting us in connect, like networking, like obviously is a huge thing. But it's like if we have like the willpower and like funds to like promote and like record our, like pay our engineer to record us and like release like what we're proud of, like I don't understand what a label's going to do for us at this point, at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. So what is your guys' kind of like, you kind of mentioned it just then, but what does your guys' kind of like recording process look like? How do you guys come up with the songs? How do you guys, lay them down? Is it that you record them at home and then bring them to your recording engineer for the final, recording? Like, how does that look?
3 out of the 4 of us are like really, versed in like Logic Pro. So like we know enough to open a session, record an idea, like, throw drums on it. Like, so it's just been like a kind of a powerhouse of like either 2 or 3 of us are in a room together at the same time. Usually like our lead guitarist Ricardo is like a songwriting machine, so like he has like trillions of ideas always like on his, in the back of his mind. We'll get together and like demo something in Logic, have like a very close to like finished like instrumental idea of a song, and then I'm kind of one of those people that like prefer like a instrumentation before I add lyrics. So like, then we'll take that and then like try and work in lyrics into it, vocal melodies, and then like if something needs to change like with the structure of the song, we'll change it there. And then once we're happy with it, then we'll bring it into our engineer at in San Diego.
Oh, dang. Okay. Well, cool. So, I mean, you guys do kind of get the, the foundation laid into where you guys can kind of tweak it and then you guys bring it over there. And so, I mean, do you guys re-record everything at the main studio then?
Yeah, we do everything from the ground up again. Like in the Logic sessions, we'll like program drums, just to like so everyone understands the structure, how it's like going to sound, and then we'll start from like total scratch at our engineer's studio, and do everything one by one: drums, bass, guitars, and then vocals.
Man, so I mean, really bringing a song from an idea, there's definitely stages to that. And then you mentioned kind of like, coming up with the funds to do that. So not only, it's not like you can just bring in something, we don't know if we really like this song. It really has to be a song that you guys are like, no, we want to put money and a push behind it for sure.
Yeah, that's such a great point that we probably don't think about enough. But like, yeah, I think like usually we have so many demos where it's like you can kind of like filter out like the ones that you're like, this doesn't really have potential, at least right now, and like kind of pick our favorites and then bring those into the studio of like you said, like we're putting money behind this now, and like now this like has a journey that we have to see through the end, otherwise it's like kind of a big loss. But yeah, it's a process for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I can only imagine that. So how far, you said that your engineer's in San Diego?
Yeah.
How far is that from you guys?
Well, so we all of us except me are from San Diego originally, and then recently two of our members live in LA now, so like that's a whole nother layer. But the studio is like a 20-minute drive from like where my drummer and I live in San Diego, so it's like not far at all. And our engineer is just like a fantastic engineer, and like is almost like a fifth member of the band at this point, because like he just kind of knows our sound so well after so many years of working with him and doing so many songs with him, that it's like a no-brainer of like, yeah, we're recording in San Diego, whether that means like the LA guys drive down. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like that too, that's a huge thing. Like I've noticed how you can go in and you really want to sound, and the engineer can make or break the song 100%, where it's just like, they go, oh, they're making the vocals too up front and really crystal clear. Well, no, I'm not really trying to have that. I want it more of like that, echoey type feel. And you really have to get somebody that knows the vision that you guys are behind. So I can understand the importance of you guys being like, no, we're not going to anybody else but our boy.
Yeah. And it's just be like starting fresh, like with a new engineer, like, obviously like it's fun to experiment, but like we're so scarred from like, we did an album, and we released in 2023. And that was like one of those situations where it was just not a great match of an engineer. And we were so bummed about like how it turned out, that, it was just kind of like to go through that situation again would be absolute hell. So it's like when we found a match, we're sticking with this person.
Oh yeah, I can totally imagine how that would be, like weeding through the weeds to find somebody that really gets you guys. So I mean, there's a couple songs I wanted to touch on. Going back, I found you guys by my YouTube suggested and the song Yearn. So,
Oh, nice.
So can you take me through how that song came about? And did you guys know that it was, I mean, you guys have over 100,000 streams on just a photo of it on YouTube, and so I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good representation of the path that you guys are on and that magic that was in that song. So I mean, what's the history on that song specific?
I think when we first started that song, like we all knew it was like a cool idea, but I don't think any of us thought for like a moment that was going to be like that big of a song for us. Like I always loved it. Our guitarist is the one that came in with the idea. He basically had like the entire song already like mapped out, like, and just tracked like a demo of it like in one go. And like I think we were just like missing a bridge that we like. It took us like a couple months to like figure out like what's the bridge gonna be? How are we gonna like finish the song out? Because it's such a simple song, but it's like there's that one missing link that like you got to have a good bridge. So once that was finished, it was like immediately recorded at the studio, and then like I think I sat on it for like another probably 6 months, like trying to figure out vocals for it. And like once it all like came together, I was super proud of it. But again, like putting it out, we were like, we think this is a super strong song, but like we had no idea that like people would relate to it on the level that they have. And so like it's become like one of my favorite songs, or one of like my proudest moments of the band. Totally. It was just totally unexpected at the same time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the feel of that song. You can totally hear some of your inspirations that you mentioned earlier, and I love the guitar where it kind of like breaks. I saw some of the comments that are like, "Oh, I love how the guitar stops and goes again." We're like that, dan 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 dan, and I saw some of your guys' live clips, and your drummer was just going ham. And so I mean, like some of your guys' live clips from this past little tour stint. So I mean, that song is badass. And so I mean, how did you? I mean, was it like something where you guys posted it and it just kind of like gained traction from there? Did it kind of like take a couple weeks, then you were like, oh, it's kind of going up consistently? Like how did you guys know like, oh damn, this is actually going somewhere?
Yeah. I think when we first put it out, like I was like super excited for people to hear it. I was like, this is like, a solid track. And it like did nothing for like months. And I was like, oh, it's a huge bummer. Like, here's just another example of like, you can be super proud of a song, put it out, and like, no one gives a shit. But then like, I think maybe like 5 months after it had released, like someone had like used it in a clip on Instagram Reels, and it got like 2 million views or something. And I was like, I don't remember how I noticed it, but I was like, holy shit, like, that's pretty insane. And like, people were asking like, oh, what's the song? Like where do I find this song, sort of thing. And I was like, oh, this kind of has legs now. And then like literally from that moment, like it just kind of like appeared everywhere on the internet. Like someone uploaded it to SoundCloud, and it like got a shit ton of streams. And I was like, at the time we weren't on SoundCloud, so I was like, damn, like that sucks. But I was super happy to like see it like growing. So that's when I kind of like realized that it had like snowballed a little bit. And then like now it's just become like one that I mean, people like yourself, and like they point to that song. So
that's crazy how it all started from just a random video on, and what, like TikTok or Instagram, do you remember?
Yeah, it was specifically Instagram, and then like it made its way over to TikTok and stuff. But like it was just this super like just random guy that like had a weird cult following that used it in a video. So it just goes to show like something as small as that. Yeah.
Yeah, you can literally just post it, and even though like how you said like, oh damn, nobody's listening, and so I'm gonna kind of like, what are we gonna do next? And then all of a sudden, boom, it starts going. That's crazy.
Totally.
Wow. Jeez. Yeah. So another song that I kind of was like, what, was you guys have a song with Wisp? So, yeah. I mean, that's not like a small band, How did that come about, you guys collaborating with them?
Yeah, that's just like another example of like us just being like totally independent ethos type band. Like we, like we're not pulling any levers, or like we have zero leverage of like getting an awesome feature like that. Like it literally just came down to like Natalie, who sings in Wisp. She had been like introduced to our band from like a friend in college who like put her onto one of the songs that we had out at the time. And like she apparently dug it and like bought a shirt. And like at the time I was like hand mailing out like all the shirts and stuff that people would buy. And so like I would like write a note and be like, thank you so much. Like super, super dumb. And then I had remembered like the name of the order of that shirt. And she like posted it like when it arrived, and like put it on her story. And at the time, her song "Your Face" like had just released, and like everyone was kind of aware of like this weird shoegaze song that was blowing up. Like Wisp was like the artist, and we're like, this thing's everywhere on TikTok. And then like she had followed us and like posted the story with like the shirt on that I sent out, and I was like, oh shit, like that was Natalie that like I mailed that to. Like I had no idea like the connection, and so like I just messaged her and was like, thank you so much. Like I can't believe that was you, sort of thing.
Yep.
And then like funny enough, she was in like a what was like the original band Wisp like in college, and like they had like covered one of our songs at their first show ever. So like I was like super honored that that even happened. And so like we just kind of were like keeping in touch and like talking about music and stuff over the years. And then like at the time we had that song that was like basically done in the studio. And like I was asking the guys like, that'd be pretty sick if we just like asked her if she'd be down to feature, and so like I literally just shot her a message and asked, and she said yeah. So it was like just the crazy thing.
That is crazy. So she was a fan of you guys first, did some, liked you guys, got referred to a friend back in college, and then was like, oh yeah, back in the day we covered one of your guys' songs and I'm a big fan. And so then you're like, well, you want to do a song? That's crazy.
Yeah, like, and again at the time like she only had that one song out, but it was like totally blowing up. And then she got obviously brought on to Interscope Records, and it just like became this thing where it was like, holy shit, like I can't believe like this actually happened, because it just grew into like such a insane moment for us that we were like, I mean, it was just like right place, right time. And like, again, I'm super appreciative that she even said she was down, because at that time she could have easily just been like, there's no way.
Yeah,
But
no, I'm all good. Just, being a big fan of you guys, that's, man, I didn't know that. And so I saw that collab and I was like, oh man, I gotta ask them, how did that come about? So that's crazy how then you're writing a shirt, thanks Natalie, and didn't even know that it was her. That's
yeah.
crazy.
So super funny, but like totally like naturally happened. Like it wasn't any sort of like like let my like label fund pay you for this thing. It was just like literally like the spirit of like people meeting at like a random occurrence, and then like chatting, and like it just happening naturally.
Well, and the natural stuff is always what makes the more authentic stuff anyways. Whenever it's forced, like, oh yeah, it's really contract and this and that, then it doesn't have that same, power. And so that's cool that you guys kind of had that chemistry before going into it, and then you just shot her the message and it worked out. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's super wild. But like again, we're so appreciative, and like obviously like we would hate, like we don't want to use that song as like the end all be all of the band of like look, we have a feature with Wisp. It's just more of like a mutual appreciation. Like
That's cool.
like it obviously helped us a ton with like getting our name out there, but like it's not something that we're like gonna be like promoting only and like trying to like mooch off of like her success type
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and you guys have really started to kind of build your own type of momentum, so that's just a cool little extra. I feel like that's just kind of like a cool little deep dive that people, oh man, I'm a fan of this band from Yearn and this and that, and other songs that you guys have, and then they just see that, and so it's kind of like a little bonus. So that's pretty cool, and I definitely didn't expect that after I was already a fan of you guys, and then. So you guys just released a new single and a new music video, which I think is sick. I saw that new music video that you guys released, and that is a badass music video. I mean, from the scenes of you guys in the house to everything. So I mean, that song is Further From Home, correct?
Yeah. Thank you so much. We're super excited about how it came out, and again, another friend of ours is the one that shot and directed it and produced it. His name's Zach Perez. He runs his own music video company, and he does like insane work for like he's worked with like Suicide Silence and like Senses Fail and like all these crazy bands. So to like meet him from like the local scene, like he plays in a shoegaze band on the side called Cursite, who we're really good friends with, and so we were like thinking of like who we wanted to shoot this music video, and like we always try and hire like our friends, and like he was like always kind of like on our list of like eventually we want to work with him, and he absolutely crushed it, and like the lighting is super cool, and we just couldn't be happier with it. So I'm glad that you thought it was awesome.
Oh man, that one whenever I saw that music. So, I mean, you guys have a really cool visual that dropped with the music video like the day with the girl in the waterfall and that sort of thing, and to come out then with, a week later, which is like amazing timing. I think that really boosted, kind of like kept that momentum going. But that music video, man, I was like, whenever I watched it, I was like, holy shit. I mean, just the different angles and the lighting, like how you mentioned, and you guys being in a house too, and just, man, that video was the shit. And I saw that it's kind of and it kind of has that, it's kind of gaining momentum. I feel I watched it like yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it had like 3,000 views, and now it's creeping up on 6,000. And so, I mean, that was only like a couple days, that it's been. And so, I mean, I feel like the overall visuals and are matching how badass the song is. And so it's just like, you gotta have, whenever both those meet like that, oh man, it's just a recipe for everybody just going and being like mesmerized, like how we were with Deftones whenever we first saw it. And oh my gosh, this is badass, it matches. And so I feel like he matched your guys' vibe with that video to a T. It was super sick.
Oh, thank you so much. Like it's so awesome to hear that because yeah, we never like pairing the music with like visuals is such a challenge sometimes, but like for this one, for whatever reason, like I think we just had like a really solid like idea of like the like imagery and like kind of color scheme that we wanted associated with it. And then like Zach, who did the video, like just totally killed it with like the lighting and everything. So like to see like you respond well to it and like other people like finding it and vibing with it, like it is so awesome because you never know when you put things out. It's like, is this going to connect with people? Like, are people going to like be into this? Like, is this like not shoegaze enough? Is it like, so there's all these questions that are always like, is this going to be something that like people connect with or not? So it's really awesome to hear that.
What was filming day like for that music video? I mean, it seemed like a lot of time went into that, and you guys being set up and obviously had to, like, where was the location? How was the shooting day? Like, how did all that kind of come together?
Yeah, it was like honestly a rush. Like every time we've shot a music video, it's always a rush. Like people are late or like we forget all this gear that we need and we have to like go buy it and like from a local like music store. So it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, we have like 6 hours in here because like one, we're paying like the location fee, and then two, like paying the videographer. So it's like every hour counts. And it was just totally like where can we set up? Like what's our like strategy for the day? But like Zach is so professional that he knocked it out like all in like only a couple takes in like each location. Like we did like full band shots and then we did like individuals. And I was like a little worried at first because I was like, is he getting enough footage? Because like we're used to like people like doing multiple takes of like the same things. And he was like, no, like everything looks great. And I was like, I mean, he's the pro. So like when he sent us like the first pass, I was just like blown away of like, dude, I have like 0 edits to this. Like this is amazing.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so, I mean, the kind of professionalism really showed then, and almost kind of, made it easier for you guys then in that sort of sense where you're not just going, oh, you want another take? Okay, run it back. So that's cool that
Yeah.
all happened like that.
So it was just a total breeze and like it happened so quickly. Like as soon as it started, it was over sort of vibes, and like I think I didn't eat all day long, but he like had brought like little mini sandwiches for everybody, and I was just like, oh my god, like this guy's like feeding us. And like it was in LA, so like the drive up there like in the morning, like everyone's rushing and stuff, not eating, and he was just such a great guy for the job.
And I mean, the overall product, man, just came out with your guys' song that was super sick. And then just to pair it with such a badass video, you see a lot of bands, especially independent bands or local bands that obviously are trying to do stuff themselves, or that they'll pay a whole bunch of money for somebody who really doesn't hit the mark, and it's kind of like disappointing in that way. So for you guys to see somebody work with them and they nailed it, I mean, just must feel really good for you guys picking that song, and like we talked about earlier, knowing the overall, okay, if we go to the recording studio with this song, we're putting all this money behind it, and it really has to be something that we believe in. So for the finished product to come like that, for the song and the visuals and kind of how it's performing right now, that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the ton too, because as we've talked about with like the money investment and stuff, and like hoping someone like connects with like your vision for the song and the video, like to like have that like connect with someone like you, and then like hear that back is it means everything to us. Like we couldn't be happier with the finished product and like the performance so far.
That's super sick. So, I mean, we kind of dove into, your guys' history and where everything started and, what's next for Distressor. You guys just released a really sick song. It seems like you guys are booking a lot of shows right now. So, I mean, what's your guys' goals in the next, year or two and what you guys got working on?
So we have an album that we're wrapping up right now. We've just been like releasing singles like from the album that like are like when they kind of are finished, like in the rotating door of like the amount of singles we have with our engineer right now. We kind of like are just putting them out one by one slowly. Um, so the end goal is like to drop the album, and I think we have like I need to finish like maybe two more songs tracking wise, like vocally with our engineer Alex. And as soon as that's done, then we're gonna like put together like a full album like package and like figure out the vinyl and like how we want to promote it from there. So we were like just at the end of like finalizing an album.
That's sick. And so you guys are about to do an album, and then are you guys going to kind of ride that out for, a year and just kind of really try to promote off of that? Are you guys have any plans for any more music videos for any of those songs?
Yeah, we're trying to plan another one right now. Usually like at any given moment we have like two songs done and we have like a music video done for one of them, and like the next one we're like planning a music video for. Like our drummer Alex is super on top of like planning these kinds of things and like always like month forward thinking. So like we've just dropped Further From Home a couple weeks ago, but like we already have like the next song like entering like finishing like mixing stages, which we'll probably do another music video for, and just like anything to like help promote the songs. Like it is a big money jump with like doing a music video for all these songs that we've done, but like it does help with like getting imagery out and like posting reels and all that shit. But yeah, I think to answer your question, like finishing the album is like absolute number one goal, but like we already have other songs that we've started at our studio, like laid drums down for, that we're gonna release like immediately after the album. So we're just like totally trying to stay like one step ahead of even like the album.
Yeah. And, one thing that I wanted to touch on too, you kind of brought up how you still got to write a couple more vocals to songs. You said that you guys kind of like, get the overall sound and the drums and the bass and the guitar all laid, so then you can kind of, put it on repeat and do your thing. What do you kind of get your inspiration from for your lyrical content that goes into the songs?
A lot of things. I would say like a mixture of like lived experience, and like more recently, I would say is like it's done so cheesy, but like literally just getting older. Like,
Okay.
and I just turned 30 last year, and like just noticing like the changes of life and like relationships and people, and like the reality of like living in a different world than you did like not very long ago, is like I think super rich and like lyrical content I've been finding. So I've been exploring a lot of that, as well as like I kind of write as like observations to like situations other people go through. If there's like a super rich like situation that like a close like loved one or friend is going through, like I've found ways to write about that from, and then put it in like a first person perspective, and try and like relate to like the issues and things people go through in their own lives.
So, I mean, that's pretty cool how you can not only with maturing, obviously through the years, whenever you're younger, you kind of are trying to still figure out and you still have more experiences to gain. But now that you've kind of matured a little bit, being able to reflect back and to be able to have the open mind enough to go, okay, well, this isn't my personal experience, but I'm going to try to relate to that person in that way. So, I mean, that's pretty cool how you can kind of tap into that.
Yeah, just like different ways to spark like creativity. Like lyrics can be a huge challenge because like not only are you trying to like put something that like matters to you down on paper, but also like you're figuring out like melodies and like structure and like on top of that. So it is a challenge, but when you try and like think outside the box of like, I have to write about something that I went through, you know, like you can kind of find there's a lot more to tap into.
For sure. Well, one last question. If you were to give your younger self any advice, since you're talking about maturing and everything and kind of reflecting back, if you were to give yourself, you know, the kid that was putting down guitar and that quit piano for a little bit and then kind of like trying to, you know, figure that whole realm out, if you were to give him any sort of advice going back, what would it be?
In relation to music or life in general?
Yeah, you know, let's do it on both.
Okay. I would say in relation to music it would be start singing earlier, because learning how to sing has been the most painstaking, difficult, and like unrewarding process of my entire life. Like, I hate singing, and I was never a vocalist until we couldn't find a vocalist for our band. So I literally just enrolled myself in vocal lessons, like at the studio down the street from my house,
Okay.
and like just grinded it out. And like, you know, still something that I'm not confident in, or like feel like I have a good grasp on. But like over the years, it's like, God, I wish I had started this like 10 years prior. So that'd be my advice musically. And then for life in general, I would say, life's not that serious. I guess, you know, I took a lot of things way too seriously younger, and like cared too much about what people thought of me. So to like, to install that as like a younger version of myself of like, you just need to like do the things you want to do and not care who, like what people think about it. Like that's probably like something I'd boil it down to for my younger self.
Well, that's pretty, that kind of would go hand in hand, you know, do what you're passionate about, start singing earlier, and don't care about, you know, everybody else's opinion and, you know, taking life so serious. So, I mean, that would pretty, that's pretty good advice. Well, Corey, I appreciate you coming on this episode of the Vibe Archive and being our first archive session guest, where we kind of dive into bands and the overall, you know, hustle that goes behind it, you know. And so I appreciate you guys taking the time. I'm, you know, ecstatic that you guys responded back. I'm a huge fan, so you guys being able to respond back to fans and, you know, coming on this show is an honor. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. I mean, to just reiterate, like we are nothing without people that like care about the music and people that reach out and like, you know, give us feedback and are stoked about the music. Like it means everything to us. So like we would never pass up a message like that. So thank you.
Of course. And where can people find you?
On all the socials, we are on Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube. I literally can't think of one that we're not on. And if someone can find it, like let me know, because we'll upload it there.
Hell yeah. Well, Corey, thanks again. I appreciate it. And that does it for this episode of the Vibe Archive. If you like these type of episodes, drop a comment. Go follow Distressor and check out their songs. They are killer. So thanks again, Corey. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Derek.